What is up, everyone? Welcome to the stream today. You know, it's a big day for the Thunder. As we had the schedule released today, we saw some of our matchups. We saw how many nationally televised games we're going to get after we were snubbed from Christmas Day. I still believe we should have been the team, all right, playing on Christmas night over some of those other people that are out there playing. And then also there was another marquee matchup day that was out there as well that we did not end up getting. And instead, a team that I don't think deserves a national game for them at all right, just being honest, the Charlotte Hornets. I don't know why they got put on a marquee national game like that. I don't see it. Personally, I don't get it. I don't get why you don't put the Thunder on a marquee matchup like that. Not my business, though. It'll be fine. All right. We got 25. Now, granted, 10 of them are on NBA TV. The other 15, ABC, ESPN, and TNT, I believe, are what will be on 15 of those. So it's nice to see us get more than we did last season, for sure. It's nice to see some recognition. I would have liked more, though. I would have liked some more national televised games. All right, just being honest. I would have liked some more. But it's fine. What we're going to do here is we're going to go through all the national games that I saw. We'll go through national games, see which ones I'm looking forward to most. And then after that, we're going to kind of dive into, go into detail about which games I think are going to be the most important for the Thunder. When you're looking at it based off of who do we have before and after that game, is it a back-to-back night, as there's something else that's talked about that I think the Thunder personally got screwed over on that will be in the video tonight. Not during a live stream, it'll be its own separate video that I think they got screwed on. So that'll be talked about later. We won't talk about that because it's the back-to-back games for a playoff team, as we have the most, which is absurd to me. All right, we were just the 1 seed with an MVP candidate, runner-up in MVP, runner-up in Rookie of the Year, one of the youngest, most exciting teams out there in the league right now, and you're going to put us on these brutal kind of schedules. Now, the strength of schedule, I get why we're one of the best. We're in the Western Conference. We're in a tough division as well, having to go against Minnesota and Denver 4 times a year. All right, we're in a tough conference with the likes of the Dallas Mavericks. The Clippers, I don't expect them to be a playoff team, but you have 12, maybe even 13 teams in the Western Conference that are going to be good, so I get the strength of schedule being tough. I get that. I'm not complaining about that at all. I just, looking at how some of the games are positioned, I feel like they could have been better suited for the Thunder. So, that out of the way, thank you guys for whoever is in the stream right now. I'm looking at the schedule right now, okay? I'm looking at the schedule, trying to see which national television games we have here. It's kind of tough to look at. I might have to try to find another graphic to figure that out. But what I'm looking at right now, you see a few NBA TV, and of course they're the NBA in-season tournament games. You have this first one right here against the San Antonio Spurs. That is an away game. Our first one of the season that is nationally televised is against the Denver Nuggets, the one that we will end up opening up with. So we have that one there. And so it's just interesting looking at all of these. It's very interesting. That Denver game, I'm not really worried about. It's beginning of the season. All right, you're going to get a bunch of shakes out of it. And you're going to get a bunch of, getting the dust off, kicking it into gear. Like these first 4 games now. There are 2 of these I see. They're first 4, really 5 games, all right, to get the dust off. We should at least go 3-2. We should win against Chicago. We should win against the Hawks. And then we should win against Portland in those first 5 games. Denver will be tough. And I know San Antonio was not good last year. I know they weren't. But when you add Chris Paul to a team that has Victor Wembanyama, a team that wasn't getting him the ball as much as he should be getting, that team automatically becomes more dangerous because Chris Paul can average close to 12 assists probably with Victor Wembanyama on his team. That pick and roll duo will be nice, all right? They're not going to be a title contending team by any means, but they will be nice with it. They can make the playoffs for sure. Not the play-in. They could potentially make it as like a 6 seed. So that's why that game I'm kind of worried about. I am. Then I did see every single game that we play against the Spurs is nationally televised. So they're very clearly pushing that Chet versus Wemby agenda that's going on right now in the NBA, as they're kind of two unicorns in the league. Both guys can handle the ball. Both guys can shoot the ball. Both guys can, go down low in the paint. Both guys can rebound. They're already top 5 rim protectors in the league, top 15 defenders. So it'll be a matchup for, the next 10 years potentially between Chet and Victor Wembanyama. So looking at everything else here, looking at the other games that we have. If I can get the schedule back up. Sorry, I'm kind of out of the groove right now with this. Some other national games. You have Orlando, all right, at Orlando. Now, we have, it's absurd how many away nationally televised games that we have here. It is quite absurd. This one in Orlando after the in-season tournament, which I expect us to be playing in and win. I'm not too worried about if we win it or not. I'm just expecting that to happen. It's not a goal of mine for us to win the in-season tournament. I don't really think that means much at all. For some of the players that don't get paid a lot, that stipend, that bonus that you get for winning it, it's nice. I'll give you that. And so it'd be nice if we can win it for some of our rookies that aren't making much, like Dylan Jones, AJ Mitchell, those guys, all right? Even Jay will. It'd be nice to, win it for those guys. But at the end of the day, we're not here to win the in-season tournament. We're here to win the NBA Finals. That's what we're here for. So I'm not really worried about that. But that Orlando matchup, it will be nice coming off of that, especially if we don't make it to that final game. All right? That will be a test to see how we do after a long break, especially when it comes time for the playoffs. Because I guarantee you, if we play how we're supposed to, we finish as the 1 seed again, we'll play a team, and we should sweep again. And then that gives you a nice, healthy break before you play the 4 or 5. Gives you at least a week. So it'd be nice to see us. If we end up losing the in-season tournament, we don't make it to that final game, that 3 to 4 day span of rest, seeing how we match up and we are after a long time of rest. That'd be definitely interesting to look at there. Another game that I'm seeing on here right now, with the schedule that I have from the Thunder that they put up, there's a few nationally televised games against Minnesota. You have one on here on TNT February 13th, right before the All-Star break. So that will be a game to look for going into the All-Star break. And then immediately after the game against Utah, we go on a back-to-back game span here at Minnesota, and then they come to us on the 24th. So back-to-back, a lot of traveling that day. Definitely be interesting to see that, because I feel like that'd be the closest to like a Western Conference Finals or conference finals against a team that we would probably see there, and the Timberwolves. So it would definitely be one to look out for, that little game stretch right there. Some other ones, another nationally televised game against Denver at home on TNT. That's definitely a game to look out for. Sacramento Kings, not really one I have circled because I'm not worried about the Kings. They're going to be a decent team, but they're not going to be a contending team. All right, so that's not really one I'm looking for. It's Kings against Thunder. It's not really a marquee matchup like that, so I don't understand why that is. So if someone can answer that question for me, go ahead. Tell me why we had to have a national matchup against the Kings. Go ahead. Warriors, January 29th. Okay. Definitely one I'll be watching. I always watch any Warriors game, any Warriors versus Thunder game. I always do it just because of the rivalry that once was in the Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant era. So I'll always be watching those games where the Thunder played the Warriors and rooting on their downfall there. So definitely one I'll be looking out for. What else? Phoenix on November 15th is one, because Phoenix is an interesting team. On paper, they should be very good. A top 4 team in the Western Conference on paper. Are they going to be a top 4 team? There's no telling. They might end up as a play-in team. So it's definitely one to look out for because, A, it's a game to see how we do going up against Kevin Durant like we always do, because OKC fans, I feel like we haven't quite forgiven him yet, or at least majority of us. For me, I'm over it now. It's been almost 10 years since it's happened. We need to get over it as a fan base, just being honest, all right? The past is the past. Focus on the future right now, all right? But it's definitely interesting to look at and watch. Because Phoenix is that team. Like I mentioned, I don't know what they're going to look like. I don't. They should be good. When you look at the players, they have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Bol, those type of guys. They have good role players. They have stars on that team as well. They should be solid. They should be that 4th seed and be classified as a contender out of the West. However, the team is getting older. They're more injury prone now. So it's definitely interesting to look at. And it's not like it's early in the season. That's what? Game number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Game 13 in the season. It's not like it's a decent showing. Because I feel like by 10 games in, you get a good feel of how a team's going to look in that season. Especially if they have a few blowout wins and they at least win half their games. That's definitely a good look going into the season. And I feel like that matchup would be vital, not just to the Thunder, but also the Suns, looking at it being like, okay, if the Suns want to actually make it to the playoffs, they have to put up a fight against the Oklahoma City Thunder, going to Paycom Arena, going down to Bricktown, and putting up a fight and potentially beating us. So that's definitely a matchup that I think as Thunder fans we should have scheduled. I know it's the Suns. We don't really have a rivalry with them. We don't have any bad blood between the fan bases. But that is a matchup where I'm like, this is a game where we can keep our eyes, see how Phoenix is looking, and see if they're a threat come playoff time. That's why that's a game I have circled on my schedule. We have a few against Utah that I think are nationally televised. I see this one right here. Looking around more, I thought we had one more that was nationally televised against Utah for some reason. It might be because of, J-Dub's brother being on that team. It might just be that one. I might have been crazy. I'm looking at the list that doesn't have the NBA TV games on here. Because, yes, those are nationally televised, but they're not on the scale of like ESPN, ABC, or TNT. So I'm looking. I think that's the only game against Utah that's nationally televised is this one on December 3rd. I'm not worried about the chess. Let me get that out of the way. I'm not. I'm interested because I want to see how A, Jalen Williams does, and B, matchup between like Chet and Laurie or Hartenstein and Laurie, see if we made the right decision in signing Laurie or signing Isaiah Hartenstein instead of trying to trade for Lauri Markkanen. See if that was the right decision. See how it's going to pan out because that is your full month and a half into the season here, just about when we go up against Utah. There definitely be an interesting matchup to look at because, as we know, the Oklahoma City Thunder were in the runnings to try to get Lauri Markkanen there for a little bit until we got Isaiah Hartenstein, and then that went out the window. So definitely something to look at and see, did the Thunder make the right move in going and getting Isaiah Hartenstein instead of trading for Lauri Markkanen? I missed 2 nationally televised games here in November. Actually, a few. How many do we have in November? I'm looking at this now. Oh my gosh. We have, and it's all at like the back end. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nationally televised games in November. That's nice to see. December 1, 2. That's it, unless we make the in-season tournament, because then those will be nationally televised. January looks barren right now from what I can tell. We have 1 nationally televised game in January against the Warriors, like I mentioned earlier. January 29th. February, we have 1, 2, 3. March, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in April, we have none. We might have a few NBA TV ones in there. Hey, play the Suns on my birthday. That's interesting. I won't be there for it, but that is interesting to see. So, from what I'm getting from this, my top 5 games from this like nationally televised slate that I see here without the NBA TV games. What we need to look for. All right, games to watch. And I'm going to exclude opening day from this because everyone's going to be watching it, Denver versus OKC. This is without the opening day, first game of the season for the Thunder. All right, without that one. Number 5 on my list. Probably, I want to go with out of conference opponent because it'd be nice to see us go against someone that we could potentially see in the finals. And when I'm seeing this list right now, I'm not seeing any team we would potentially see in the finals, which is kind of sad. I'm looking at it, and I'm just not seeing anyone. I'm not. Milwaukee is one. Boston. There we go. That's a game to look out for. March 12th. But we go to Boston on a Wednesday. ESPN nationally televised. Number 5 on your list for games that you should watch from the Thunder right there. Because like I mentioned, could be a finals matchup there. Very well could be a finals matchup. Oklahoma City Thunder against the Boston Celtics. Could be what we see in wins the finals. June, July, something like June. So that is definitely a game. Number 5 on the list for me personally. And this is what I would say you guys should do as well. So, looking at these. Number 4 now. On my list. Honestly, I might go against the Magic going to Orlando on December 15th. My reason being is if you guys remember the comment that was made about 2-3 years ago about what the Oklahoma City Thunder were doing, about our rebuild, how we were labeled the black eye of the league. If you guys remember that comment. People are also hating on Orlando's rebuild. Everyone was saying the right way to do a rebuild was how Charlotte is doing it, and look how they are right now. They're saying what the Magic and Thunder are doing are horrible, and the Thunder are the black eye of the league. That's why I'm interested in that game, is two teams that had a quick rebuild, back in playoff contention, and don't sleep on the Magic this year in the Eastern Conference. They are my sleeper that can make the Eastern Conference Finals. They have the potential. They have the young core where if they take just one more step this upcoming season, you could see them playing in the Eastern Conference Finals against a team like the Celtics or Knicks. You could see them make there, and it's a team that just goes under the radar because they're not talked about. They just aren't. It's kind of like how the Thunder were last season. We weren't talked about, so we went under the radar, and we finished as the 1 seed and made it to the semifinals. Okay? So that's why that one's circled on my list, is because A, Orlando is a very sleeper team that you should look out for. B, the comments made about us, how the Thunder were the black eye of the league and Orlando wasn't doing much better either. That is why it is number 4 on my list. Number 3, when I'm just getting a glimpse at this, taking a look here. I'm just taking a look, glance at this. I would probably go one of our first games of the season, October 30th against the Spurs. It's Wemby. It's that matchup between Chet and Victor Wembanyama. The thing that the NBA and Adam Silver are pushing this entire season and probably for the next 10 years. Victor versus Chet. And this is a matchup where we can see what this new look Spurs is going to be like in the Western Conference with Chris Paul. And their young team, they got better. Some of their players got better in the offseason. They have some good young guys there. They had a good draft as well. So it's definitely interesting to look at it and see how the Spurs are going to be, especially against a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, where in 3 years, they could be in the same position that we are in right now, in 3 years. So that's why it's circling on my list is A, the Chet versus Wemby matchup, B, this new look Spurs team can make the playoffs. Not the play-in, the playoffs. I think they can make it as a 6 seed. I think they can make it as the 6 if they stay healthy. With that Chris Paul to Victor Wembanyama connection, Chris Paul could average 15 and 12 this upcoming season with Victor Wembanyama on his team. And Victor could average 30 points, in my opinion. 30 points and 10 boards and 3 blocks. He could have a great season down in San Antonio and have an MVP type of game. Or type of season. So definitely a game I am looking out for on the schedule. Number 2 on my list. Number 2. I'm looking at this. Just a quick glance. You know what? This probably isn't going to surprise me at all with watching these right now. February 13th against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Going into the All-Star break, it's an away game. All right, so it'd be nice to see what it's like going up against the Timberwolves in that environment after that long of a little break for a lot of our guys, or before going into this big break right here. Definitely be interesting to see how it is, because I feel like the Thunder will be the 1, and I think the Timberwolves will finish as the 2. And I think the Mavericks will finish as the 3. And then the Nuggets as the 4. And so it's one of those things where I'm looking at it, and I think that's our 1 and 2 matchup right there for seeding-wise in the playoffs. Minnesota, OKC. Be a huge game on TNT. Anthony Edwards versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Both young squads going up against Rudy Gobert. Shai trying to get his revenge against Rudy, as well as France beat out Canada in the playoffs. And that's another reason why every game against the Spurs you should watch is that Team Canada versus Team France thing with Shai versus Wemby. Definitely something to look out for. The last game that I would circle on your calendar would probably be, all right, this one that I think will be potentially the deciding game over who gets the 1 seed. This last matchup I think we have against Denver here, if I'm looking and reading correctly, this is the last matchup we have against Denver. March 9th on ABC. Or no, it's our second to last. Because then after, we play Denver again, back-to-back nights. But this one on March 9th is nationally televised. Definitely a game to look out for, because it's Nikola Jokic. All right, he finished number 1 in MVP voting. He won the MVP award. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was right behind him at number 2. Okay. Number 1 seed, Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the former number 2 seed, Denver Nuggets. Former champions down there in Denver as well. They just added Russell Westbrook as well. I think that's his homecoming game against Oklahoma. His first time coming back to OKC in a Denver uniform. So, definitely a game that I think is going to have a lot of emotional value, a lot of seeding value, and just how the playoffs are going to unfold. I think that is the most important nationally televised game that we have against the Denver Nuggets on March 9th. I think that is going to be huge. And yes, it's at noon. I see that. I get it. It's at noon. It's going to be insane to watch it on a Sunday. But I truly think that is the most important game of the year. I don't know if you guys can hear that out there. I just moved back to Boston, and I'm right on one of the busiest streets out here in Boston. And there's just so much noise, and someone's playing an instrument out there. And there's no way I can get rid of it, because I have my windows closed, and we're not allowed to put soundproof stuff on our walls here in the doors. So if you guys hear that, you guys can, I guess, enjoy some nice little music along with the video. But something's going on out there. I don't know what this dude's playing out there. It's not very good. It's not very good music. I'm going to be honest. Not very good music. Anyways, like I said, those are definitely the games I'd be looking out for. Now, regular games, however, that's a different story. That is a completely different story based off of regular games. One of the most important games that I feel like for regular season games is going to be this March 31st game against the Chicago Bulls. I know the Bulls are going to be atrocious. I know that. I know they are. Don't worry. I know the Bulls are going to be horrible. But, got to remember, this is Giddey's return to OKC. This is Giddey's return back to the team that drafted him, going into his 4th year in the league. So, it's definitely a game to look out, have it on your schedule, because I'm really interested to see how the Thunder fans and family welcome him back to OKC. Welcome him back home there. It's just be interesting to see. It really would. Because I don't know what the reception for him is going to be like. Because he did have 2 good years down here in Oklahoma City. He did. He had 2 good years there. Last season, it was, it wasn't the greatest. I know it wasn't. It wasn't a great season for him. We know why. We're not going to bring it up, all right? So it's just interesting to see how the community is going to welcome him back. I think that is one, of the games that I feel like as a fan base and community, I think you should be on the lookout for it because it is a very, emotional game. Another one that I'm seeing here that I would have on your schedule to watch is this first game against Houston on November 8th. Reason being is I don't know why. I don't know why they think this, but the Rockets think we have some sort of rivalry going on with them. They think there's a rivalry going on. I don't know why. We have always been the better team. They think it's a close matchup. So I don't know where this rivalry started where, the Thunder versus Rockets. This is so huge. I don't care about the Houston Rockets. I don't care. All right? The only 3 players I can tell you that are on that team of significance are Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, just because he was drafted by the Thunder, and one of those Thompson twins. I can't remember which one it is. Those are the only 3 players of significance on the Houston Rockets. And don't give me this Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks nonsense. No. They are not true contributors to that Rockets team. They are not. I don't care what they do. They are old. They're getting washed up. Dylan Brooks is so overrated. He's not even a top 10 defender in the league, but yet he thinks he's the best defender in the league. He is the new Draymond Green. That is what he is. And it annoys me so much that they think that the fan bases over there in Houston think there's this rivalry going on between Oklahoma City and Houston, but there isn't. We have never seen it as a rivalry, or else I haven't from my eyes, because we usually always dominate them when we do play. And yes, just like you said, Thunder versus Rockets started when it was in the rebuild, all right? Comparing who was the better rebuild. And everyone was saying the Rockets were going to be a better rebuilding team. They've been in the rebuild longer than us. We were in a rebuild for 2 years, and we've already made the playoffs. Already finished as a 1 seed. They've been in a rebuild for 5, and they haven't even made the play-in. So I don't want to hear anything about this rivalry. It doesn't exist. But I am going to have it on my schedule just so I can watch the Oklahoma City Thunder beat the Rockets by 30, by 40, by 50, maybe set a record for largest margin of win against the Rockets, and see them all just be quiet on Twitter. See how NBA Twitter reacts to that game. That is why that is a game I am watching. Because, oh my gosh, the Rocket fan base makes it seem like there's just been this huge rivalry going on for years now, ever since the Thunder became a thing. No, it has not. Not even when James Harden was traded to the Rockets was it a rivalry. I never considered it that. Our rival teams to me have always been the Clippers, the Spurs, and then the Mavericks and Warriors. Those 4 teams I consider our biggest rivals. All right? Because if you remember, when early 2010s, and even the late 2000s, from 2009 from 2009 to 2012, 13, it was always Thunder versus Spurs. So that's why I see the rivalry, okay? That's why I see that rivalry with the Spurs, and it's starting to renew a little bit again with Chet versus Wimpy. The Warriors, we know why the Warriors. Kevin Durant, we're always matching up with them in the Western Conference Finals. That's why the Warriors are there. It's kind of dying away, but it's still slowly there, okay? The Mavericks, recently, it's really started up again. I always feel like just playing against Dallas, against Dallas in general, because of Dallas sports fan bases, I just think it's always gotten heated. And then the Clippers, if you remember Lob City, I remember those matchups with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook against Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, and Blake Griffin in their primes. Those matchups were legendary even in the playoffs. Memphis, I feel like that one's just really died out. I'm going to be honest. I feel like the Memphis rivalry existed for 2 seasons. And then ever since then, it's just been gone. So I can't really say Memphis exists anymore. All right? I don't think that rivalry is there. Rockets fans should praise us. We gave them Harden and Sengun. Yeah, and they haven't won anything or made the finals. Even then, like Sengun, he's gonna be all right. I'll be honest, Sengun will be a good player. I'm glad we have Chet over him though. To everyone that thinks that we should have held on to Sengun, there's a good chance we don't have Chet or Dub. There is a good chance that never happens if we hold on to Sengun. So I am thankful that we gave him up and traded him away. Thunder rebuild is 10 times better. Yeah, look at what we did. In 2 years, we finished as the 1 seed, as the youngest team in NBA history. With 57 wins, 3rd most in franchise history. Our rebuild has done so much better than them. They might not even make the playoffs again. They might be a play-in team. I could see them finishing as like an 8. But will they make the playoffs? I don't know. I think the more experienced teams when it comes to that, in the play-ins, will win those games. When was the Memphis rivalry? It was, in the, grit hustle days with Zach Randolph over there. But like I said, it was only for like 2 years. Minnesota is getting themselves up there. I think that's why we have so many nationally televised games against Minnesota this year, is they're trying to push a Minnesota versus OKC rivalry in the future. I think that's what they're trying to push. I don't think they've ever been our rival, though. I'm going to be honest. I've never had, harbored any hatred towards Minnesota. I just harbor hatred towards Rudy Gobert because I think he's the most overrated defender in all of NBA history. I don't think he's that good of a defender. I don't think so. So that's why I don't really see it as a rivalry at all over there. Any other games that I'm kind of looking for? Let's see. Dallas. Now, this first game that we have against Dallas here. Home game as well. First time facing them since the Western Conference semifinals on November 17th. Definitely a game to watch. I'm going to be honest, that's definitely a game to watch right there. Just because we know what's at stake. It's a new rivalry, all right? Luka versus Shai, who a lot of people think either Luka should have been MVP over Jokic or Shai should have been MVP over Jokic. I feel like a lot of people agreed Jokic should not have been the MVP last season. It should have came down between Shai and Luka, but somehow he won it because I think the NBA felt bad that they gave Joel Embiid the MVP award instead of Jokic 2 seasons ago, which ruined Jokic's three-peat. So I think it was kind of a petty and make-up MVP award. But I think this is a big game to watch because this could very well be the first matchup we see again of what could be the Western Conference Finals. Very well could be, unless one of us finishes as the 4 and one finishes as 1, or one of us finishes as a 2 and the other finishes as a 3. I just see, I see that as the Western Conference Finals right there against Dallas again. And it's a big game because it's the first time playing them since they knocked us out. It is. And I don't want to say it was on a controversial call at all because when you look at it at the end, he didn't make contact. It's just, it could have gone both ways. It very well could have, but that's in the past. Can't make excuses for that. You got to be better shooting-wise. That was one of our worst shooting series of the entire year. So it's just one of those things where, there could have been more that we could have done to win. I think adding Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein makes us a better team than Dallas, even though they did add Najee Marshall, who everyone thinks locked up Shai in the playoffs against the Pelicans. He did not. Shai was cooking him the entire time. I don't think they have anyone to defend Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, it is tough to guard Luka Doncic, I'm going to be honest, and also have to guard Kyrie. I do think we have the defenders now to help out with that, especially adding Alex Caruso. Throw on Dort now. I think it would be better to have, in that series, in my opinion, having Isaiah Hartenstein off the bench. This is where we're getting the starting 5 for a little bit. But before we get into that, I'm just going to let you know, Dallas, what I see, Hartenstein coming off the bench, Alex Caruso starting. You have Caruso on Luka because he's kind of like this, it's a yin-yang thing going on with Dort. Dort's very physical, up in your face. Caruso, He's relaxed, he's calm, he flows like water, but he does put pressure on you, which I think is better against Luka Doncic, and the more physical play of Lou Dort would be better on Kyrie Irving, who likes to go fast. But, like I said, that Dallas game I don't think is nationally televised. If it is, it's on NBA TV. That is a game I am looking out for right there. That is a game I am very, very, very excited for. Another one, Boston at home, January 5th, 2:30 p.m. It doesn't say it's nationally televised on here. It could be, depending if it's on NBA TV. Definitely a game to look for because, like I said, once again, it could be the finals matchup right there. Potential finals matchup between OKC and Boston. What else do we got there? Any other games I'm really looking out for here? The only other one I'd say is the first game we go to Dallas on January 17th. See how that environment is in Dallas. See if it's gotten more rowdier or if it's rowdy just during the playoffs. And then, because it's just interesting to see. It's interesting to see how it is. They're just rowdy in the playoffs, but they're more quiet in the regular season. Just interesting to see how that environment is. First time going to Dallas since they eliminated us. Definitely a game to look out for. What else do we got here? Looking, any other games I'm really interested in that I want to watch? Man, not really any. I guess a game against Memphis. When I'm looking at it here, when's our first game against them? It looks like it's December 29th is our first game against Memphis, it looks like. And it's a home game as well, so it's definitely interesting to see that. Because, I'm interested to see how Zach Giddey plays. I truly am. I don't think he's going to be a great NBA player at all. I think he's going to be a good role player in the league. I don't think he has all-star potential, though. I don't. But it's definitely interesting to see how he does in Minnesota, or Memphis, I mean. And especially with Ja Morant coming back healthy now. It's definitely an interesting game to look at. See how they are as a team. See if they will be a playoff contender and someone we should look out for in the playoffs. My opinion, I don't really see them as a team to look out for. Outside of Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., I'm not really worried about any of their guys. Now, then again, I haven't heard much from the Memphis Grizzlies because they had Ja Morant injured last season. So it's so I really don't know how they're going to look. It's definitely going to be interesting. Okay? Anything else I'm seeing here that I would look out for? Okay, here's one. Knicks. New York Knicks. Game I will be watching. Because I think the two teams that should be coming out of the Eastern Conference are the Knicks and Celtics. One of those two teams should come out of the Eastern Conference. I am not putting my faith in Philadelphia, and I'll tell you why. Because they're injury prone. If they were fully healthy together the entire time, they could rival the Celtics, and they would be better than the Knicks. However, when are they fully healthy? When? When are they fully healthy? Tell me now. When have you seen a fully healthy 76ers team? I haven't. Joel Embiid, it seems like he's always hurt. Paul George, it seems like he plays one game and then rests the next. And then again, in the playoffs, you know his nickname because he's horrible in the playoffs. So I don't see the 76ers being a threat in the Eastern Conference. That's why I think the Magic can be better than the 76ers. That's why I'm not worried about any matchups against Philadelphia, because realistically, why should we be worried when they're either going to have Paul George injured or Joel Embiid injured or both of them injured at the same time? So I'm not worried about them at all. That's why I don't have any of those matchups scheduled to look out for at all. That's why instead I have the Knicks, because they are a healthy team. The Nova Knicks, the chemistry is going to be off the charts. You already know that. So that is why both those Knicks matchups, because the next one is in New York a week after our first matchup at home against them. That is why both of those matchups I'm looking out for. I'm excited to watch. I am. Anything else? Anything else? I don't know if I mentioned already. I got the nationally televised Boston game at TD Garden. Also, this one against the Celtics at home. I can't remember if I mentioned that at all. I might have. I'm already forgetting after that little rant there because I got a little lightheaded because I went crazy because, oh my God, I don't like any Philly sports team, but all this hype that the 76ers are getting when half their team's going to be injured for the year, I don't get it. They might get bounced around one. I know they're not making the Eastern Conference Finals, okay? We are going to see a Thunder championship, Thunder NBA Finals championship before the Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid make the Eastern Conference Finals. I will, go ahead. Do whatever you want with that. Clip it. Save it. I don't care. That is happening. The Oklahoma City Thunder will win the NBA Finals before Joel Embiid makes it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Anything else? Not really. It was back-to-back matchup against Denver, on March 9th, March 10th, like I mentioned. Games to look out for. Same thing against Minnesota on February 23rd and 24th. Back-to-back matchups. It's just we have so many back-to-back matchups when I'm looking at this, and it's kind of, it's messed up seeing this. There is a month now that I'm looking at it. In January, we have 1, 2, and 3 back-to-back matchups in that same month. March 1, 2, 3 back-to-back matchups there. February 1, 2, 3. November 1, 2, 3. December only 1. It's just insane how many back-to-back matchups we have. That'll be over. That'll be its own video talking about that. How, it's kind of it's messed up. You did that to the 1 seed. It is. But that's what I got for schedule-wise. Okay, glad we got it out of the way. Because there were some interesting games to look at. There are. And it's a schedule where I think we can win 60-plus games. I think we can. Now, I think it caps out at 63, so it's definitely going to be right on that line, 62, 63 games. I think it is possible we can win 60-plus. I think we can beat our 57-win record from last season as well. I wouldn't put it past the Thunder. I know it's a tougher Western Conference now this year. I wouldn't put it past us to somehow manage our way to 60 games won this season. I wouldn't put it past us. We have the squad. We have the coach. We have the front office and everything. We have the support of the fan base as well at our home games where we can win 60 games. I think there's also a world where we can win 65. I think that's going to be more difficult. I feel like it's weird. I feel like 63 is a more realistic number for us than 65, and it's only a 2-game difference. I just feel like there's going to be those 2 games that we I feel like the reason we won't get to 65 is because there will be those 2 games that we lose that we really should win against a team like Houston or Charlotte or Detroit. Because it's just like a Thunder way where we drop one of those easy games. I don't get it. So I think we go 63-19 would be my guess. That's what I want us to do. That's what I think our max is. But realistically, I think anywhere from 58-24 to 60-22 is the most realistic win total. I think it is. So, with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get into starting 5 talk a little bit. Because that is something that I feel like I can't really do for a video because there's so much to talk about on it. I think it would be better to talk about it in a live stream. And this will be something that we talk about on all the live streams going forward, as I do plan on having some guests on here that do some Thunder stuff as well to help out, keep it fresh, so you guys know that. But it's just one of those things where there's going to be a lot of debate and there's going to be new information coming out, especially with training camps about to start. Preseason, 2 months away now, it seems. I think it might be sooner than that, actually. So it's definitely something that is going to be talked about quite a bit now. I think Hartenstein should be that 5th starter. I want to add some more size to that starting lineup. Lloyd, thank you for the $2 gift right there. I'm going to go ahead and answer your question since you did that. All right. Who is backup point guard next season? It's interesting. So, there's a guy on our squad who's going into his second year named Cason Wallace. I feel like we've all forgotten he exists when we talk about who should be the backup point guard. He is a point guard when you look at it. His size, his play, his play style, he is a point guard. He is. Okay? I think he should be the backup point guard. Like I said in the last, most recent video here, I think he's going to have a breakout year. I truly think that. It's not going to be a season where, it's all-star level or, 15 points a game. By breakout, I mean double-digit points off the bench, like 10 points a game, and like 6 assists. And then he could also average a steal or two a game off the bench. We have this, everyone keeps saying it's a three-headed monster. Everyone keeps saying that. I don't think it's a monster. I think it's a three-headed hydra. Because my example of what this Oklahoma City Thunder defense is like is you have Alex Caruso as one of the heads, Lou Dort as one of the heads, and then Cason Wallace. Yes, he is not a starter. He should be our backup point guard. He should be our backup Lou Dort off the bench for defense-wise, but he should be running the offense. The offense should start through him taking the ball up the court, in my opinion. That's what I think. And the reason I say we have this three-headed hydra is, sure, you can cut off one of the heads of our defenders. However, we're going to regrow back with that one defender you cut down with another guy and let's say, you think you just crossed up Lou Dort, you're going to the right. Who's there on help defense? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who led the NBA in steals last season. Oh, you just got by Alex Caruso, you're driving to the rim. Oh, get ready to meet Chet Holmgren down there, okay? You think you're about to get through this screen? No, we have Isaiah Hartenstein hedging it over right there. Our defense is going to be the best one in the league, and the reason being is because our defense off the bench is going to be great because you have a guy like Cason Wallace and Alex Caruso coming off the bench. You have those guys coming off the bench, and Cason Wallace will be our backup point guard. He will be. He definitely should be. And I think we should go 10 guys deep. I do think that. I think what we should do would be we should be 10 men deep. Our starting five should consist of Shai at the 1, Dort at the 2, Dub at the 3, Chet at the 4, Hartenstein at the 5. That should be our starting five. Then after that, our bench should be Caso, our backup point guard, Caruso. I'll go Joe, our backup shooting guard, Caruso, our backup 3, Wiggins, our backup 4, and J. Will right now is our backup 5. I think J. Will is better as a backup power forward, which will probably end up happening. I think he may only get like 2 minutes a game at center, but then he'll get another 6 to 8 minutes as a power forward. Because he might come in and sub in, and Chet or Hartenstein might still be on the floor, and they'll run the center. But I do think Cason Wallace will be our backup point guard. Thank you, Lloyd, for that. Caso going to get big minutes this season if till Topic heals up. He will. I think the reason we drafted Topic is because it is an experiment. When you look at it at first, if you guys were here for the draft stream, I was so upset we took Topic. I was. All right? The more I thought about it, because I was upset because he's injured. The more I thought about it, though, before he got injured, he was a for sure top 5 pick and maybe even a top 3 pick. Getting him falling to 12 is huge for us, especially if his recovery goes how Chet did. Because he could find his way if we lose Lou Dort for whatever reason, either in free agency or we have to trade him away. I hope that doesn't happen. I want Dort to be a Thunder player until he retires. But stuff happens. It does. Trades happen in the league. Sometimes you get a package that you just can't refuse. I think the reason we took Topic was because if he can develop into this guy for us, by the time it's time for Dort to leave, especially with how big of contracts Chet and Dub are going to get, especially Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, how big of a contract he can get, we might not be able to afford Dort anymore, so he might have to walk. Cason Wallace might step up and be a starter in his place, or, like I was saying with Topic, if he develops into the guy that everyone saw him being, he could be a starter for us. So I think that's why we took Topic is a, fail-safe in case we lose one of our starters. I think that's why we ended up taking him. So, Until Topic chills up, Queso will be the backup point guard. Until then, we'll see how it goes. It's just we're so deep right now. We have so many trade assets as well. We're probably the most valuable team, trade-wise in the NBA, just because of the picks that we got and the young, good players that we have. All right? Then you look at it. So, but back to the starting five, like I was saying. I think Hartenstein should be the starting center. I think he should be. I want more size in the starting lineup, especially against teams like Minnesota who have size over us, even Denver as well. I feel like he should be our starting center majority of the time. I can see a few games where Caruso starts, like I mentioned against Dallas. I could see Caruso starting and Hartenstein coming off the bench. I could see that as well. But it's one of those things where, it's very interesting. It is. Because trades can also happen in the middle of the season. There could be a trade that happens where we go get a true backup center, and then, boom, Hartenstein is for sure starting at the 5, and then Caruso is going to be our guy off the bench the entire year. Definitely be interesting. But either way, it's one of those things where, no matter what I look at it, our true six-man is either going to be Caruso or Hartenstein. And those are good six-men to have. It is. I think if Caruso is primarily our sixth guy, our first guy coming off the bench, he'll win sixth man of the year. He will. So it's one of those things where I'm like, it's definitely interesting to look at. And there's a lot of trade guys out there as well. All right, there are a lot of guys that you could trade for right now. You have, I've seen a little bit of rumors of Bam Adebayo from the Heat potentially being traded if they want to hit the full reset button, especially if Jimmy Butler getting older and them not having much success lately. Definitely be a guy that I could see us trying to trade for. How realistic is it? I don't think so. The more realistic guys that I see are guys like DeAndre Ayton and Jonas Valanciunas are more realistic guys. And maybe some more true backup centers. Bol fits our offensive style very well. I just don't know if we're willing to trade for him. So it's one of those things where I could see us come trade deadline close to that time, trade for someone to be a backup center, give us some more depth, especially if, God forbid, that Chet or Hartenstein go down with injury. If one of them goes down with injury, we're definitely going to need a backup center. All right, because we saw in the playoffs we got killed on the offensive boards, and we can't have Chet being alone out there with J. Will coming in. And J. Will does a good job. I'm not saying he doesn't. He's more of a power forward. He doesn't quite have the size, okay? He just doesn't. This is going to be trial and error until we find the right combos. It will be. It will be. And like I said, I think there's teams where we might just match up better if Caruso starts and Hartenstein comes off the bench. Like I said, with the Dallas Mavericks. That might be the best case scenario right there. Boom, have that. So it's definitely interesting. I just feel like, realistically, Hartenstein's our fifth guy. And the reason I'm not bringing up Lou Dort in this is because I think he brings more value as a starter. Is he going to be part of that closing lineup? I don't know. I think Caruso might be a part of that closing lineup ahead of him. Because Lou Dort does like to get in foul trouble a little bit more than what Caruso does. So it might be one of those things where we have to have Caruso in that closing lineup because Dort gets in foul trouble. So, but I do think Dort brings a lot of value as a starter, more than Caruso, because he sets this physical and, fast-paced tone on the defensive end, even on the offensive end. I feel like he goes a little bit too fast sometimes, if that makes sense. So it's definitely interesting to see. 100 different lineups for different matchup types. Yeah, there's going to be so many different lineups. I don't know what's going to be set in stone. I really, really don't. Definitely be interesting to look out for. Because, we just don't know. We don't know what, Coach Mark's going to do out there. We don't know what's going on. All right? At the end of the day, he makes the lineups, and it's his final decision. That's just personally how I would do it. So, we got about 20 more minutes until I call it good on the stream. 20 to 30 more minutes. So you guys that are here, go ahead, drop some questions that you guys want answered in the comment section right now below. Go ahead and answer them. You guys might notice it is a new setup now here. I left home. I left Oklahoma to come back to college here. up in Boston. So this will be the setup that you see for majority of the season. And yes, we will be doing live streams for games as much as possible. My goal is to try to live stream half of the games. That is my goal. Live stream 41 of the games, whether that is on here or if we do a joint stream with the other channels with Digest Media. I don't know if you guys know that. It's not just under Digest here. We have a whole Digest Media company. We have channels like Mavericks Digest. You'll see us go over there for those streams for Mavs games. So it happened a little bit last season. You'll also see maybe us with Knicks Digest, Celtics Digest. They all do great jobs over there. Oldest one that we have is Raptors Digest. That's where it all started. So we are part of the Digest Media family over here. So some of these streams, they might not be on here. But I will do it when we are playing at home. And if we're doing a stream that day, it'll be on this channel. All right, that's how I'll do it. If we're playing at home and someone wants to do a joint stream, they can come on mine. But if we're playing away, I'll go on theirs. Okay. Nito, we just got to trade Oos. I think so as well. I think so. I know I see a lot of you guys in the comment section as well in those Oos One Chain videos. And you guys keep saying he's an experiment. As Presti said, he wouldn't be ready for a few years. We don't have a few years to keep developing him. He's taking up like $7 million in cap space right now. All right? We don't have the time anymore. And has he truly gotten better? Has he? From what I see, I don't think he's truly gotten better. He's stayed around the same. He's still afraid to drive to the basket. Some games he does it, which is what gets me about Jang. I say it every time. If he was a consistent player and did something consistently every night, had this part of his game where he actually did it well, I'd be fine developing a little bit more. Give him another year, see if he can become a member of the NBA squad. All right? It's just, I feel like we can't waste any more time on him. I feel like this is his most crucial part of, his career now with the Thunder. Going into his third season, it's been 2 years, not a few. But it's felt like forever with how long it's taking. He has the potential to be a good player for us. I want to say he once had starting potential for us as well until we signed Isaiah Hartenstein. But it's one of those things where he hasn't gotten better in my eyes. I don't even think he's a top 12 player on our roster, on our 15-man roster. I truly think Dylan Jones is already a better player than him. I truly think that. Because Dylan Jones has a part of his game that he's going to succeed at, and that is driving to the rim. He will succeed at that. All right? Every game, that's something he can rely on. Oos, what does he rely on every game? Nothing. He mixes it up every single time, which that's why I don't like him anymore. I used to love him. I want him to be a good NBA player. I think at this point, it'd be best for his career is actual NBA minutes to develop instead of staying in the G League, which I think is another problem in its own because he doesn't get NBA minutes because we do have a great squad. We do. All right? And that's a good thing to have right there. So I don't think he's ever going to develop into a great player, or even a good player for the Thunder because he can't get the NBA minutes over here. So I think it would be best interest in both parties to trade. That's why I had that proposed trade for the Wizards, as they just lost a guy that was very similar to Oos, and I'm going to butcher this last name again, Daigneault. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to bother looking it up right now. But they just lost Giddey over there. Oos can replace him. All right, he's younger. I don't even think he's 21 yet, which I know. He's young. He still has a ton of years left, It's just how long do we have to wait? That's my problem with it. All right, so I think it'd be best interest to trade him over to Washington, get Jonas Valanciunas back in return. He's on a cheap deal as well. 3-year, $30 million deal, $10 million per year. If we don't want Hartenstein anymore, that is also a serviceable option that you can have as a starting center as well, because he is one of the better passing and shooting big men in the league, for sure. he could definitely fit our style of offense. So it would definitely be interesting to see if we trade for him, go after him, and get him. Do the Thunder have enough to beat Dallas? Thank you for that question, Lloyd. Yes. Plain and simple, now we do. Everyone keeps, I feel like the Mavericks have gotten more hype this offseason because they signed a huge name in Klay Thompson. And he is a huge name. This is the same Klay Thompson, though, that has not been showing up in the playoffs for the last 2 to 3 years. All right? So it's, I'm not worried. Until Klay Thompson can show a little renaissance, in his career. And that's why a few of those matchups on the schedule I'm interested in looking at to see how Klay Thompson does on the Mavericks. If he starts, I think it's wraps. I think we beat the Mavericks. I don't think he's a starter anymore. I don't think he's starting caliber. I think he's better coming off the bench and being a six-man, being your catch-and-shoot guy off the bench. It just depends how they're going to work that squad. It really does. I think we have enough to beat them. I do. I truly believe that with what we did this offseason. I think we got significantly better than Dallas Mavericks. In my opinion, I think they stayed around the same. Losing Derrick Jones Jr. is a much more of a huge loss than people are going to realize. Everyone thinks Derrick Jones Jr. as this high flyer that can dunk like crazy in that dunk contest. He's much more than that. He is getting better at his shot. He's getting better as a defender. We saw it. He defended Shai well at some points. He did. I'll give him that. Najee Marshall is not going to do the same. He's not. Klay Thompson, all right, as a starter, if you have him out there as a starter, you have two guys, especially just two guys that aren't good at defense, and Luka and Klay Thompson. What we have right now in our squad, and those guys are going to have to guard wing guys probably. You're telling me Luka or Klay are going to guard Dub. Because they're going to put Najee, if Najee's in that starting lineup, they're going to put Najee Marshall on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They'll put their best defender on the court on Shai, because he's our best player. He is. After that, you're going to have Derek Lively, who should be starting for the Mavericks. You're going to put him on Chet, would be my guess. Who guards Hartenstein now? Do they go big against us? Or are they going to go small, assuming we start Caruso? If we do start Caruso, he's a good defender. You have Caruso on Doncic. You have Dort on Kyrie. Then you have Shai on Klay, who's just going to stand in the corner and try to go around screens. That's what's going to happen. So it's one of those things where I think we have him beat on paper now. Now, that's on paper. All right? There are a lot of things that happen in the season that change up everyone's opinion on that. There are so many things that happen. So it's definitely going to be a great matchup. It will be. I do think we have everything to beat the Mavericks on paper now. I do. Because like I was saying, you put your best defender on Shai, whether that's Najee Marshall, whoever it is, defending Shai. Who guards Dub? You're telling me Doncic or Klay Thompson are going to guard J-Dub? No, they're not. Who's going to guard Hartenstein? Who's going to guard Chet? You see, there's no matter what on that court, who's going to guard Caruso? That's my point. No matter who you have on that court, someone is going to have a mismatch and they will feast that game. Then they'll try to switch and be like, okay, all of a sudden, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has a defender that can't guard him at all. He's going to go off. So it's just one of those things where you're going to have to pick your struggle that game for the Mavericks. You're going to have to hope, okay, whoever is, Klay Thompson is guarding, whoever Klay and Luka are guarding, we just got to hope they have a horrible night. That's what you got to hope for. So I think we have everything to beat them on paper. Wish we could trade Oost for Sexton on the Jazz. It'd be nice to have Sexton. I think it's because everyone keeps on thinking we don't have a backup point guard. We have Cason Wallace. We don't need a backup point guard. We have Cason Wallace. Don't worry. All right? And if injuries happen, it's fine. Caruso can run the point. Wiggs can run the point. Joe can run the point. We have options. Don't worry. All right? Dub even can run the point at times. So don't worry about getting a backup point guard. If we do try to trade for the Jazz, I say we have to try to trade for Walker Kessler. I'm high on Kessler. He's going in his third season, I believe. Third or fourth, one of the two. I am very high on Kessler. I am. I think he'd be a great addition to the team. He's cheap as well. I think he'd be a great addition as a backup center. He could even be a starting center and you have Hartenstein come off the bench. I know you're paying all that money for a backup center. So I don't care. As long as we win, I don't care how much we're paying for a backup. As long as we win the finals, I don't care. We're paying $30 million last year for Gordon Hayward not to even play. Now, that was all so we could clear cap space to go sign Hartenstein this offseason. But, so what? As long as we win the finals, I don't care how much you're paying for someone off the bench. I don't care. I really don't care as long as we win the finals. So, that's what I think. If we do try to trade Oos, those are my, first two guys, Kessler or Jonas. Those two guys right there. Some dream, pipe scenarios. Bam Adebayo, of course. I'm going to say DeAndre Ayton's a dream. I just don't think it's likely. I'm not high on Ayton anymore. There were some other good backup centers around the league. Let me look it up. Let me look it up real quick. Because there are. There are some decent ones that we could get for, cheap options. Looking at this. Let's see. Going to ESPN's list for NBA centers right here. Looking at it. Clint Capella, I don't know what Atlanta's going to try to do. They might, and they have a plethora of centers over there right now, so we definitely trade for some of their guys. Jacob Podol. Let's see. Who else? Yeah, I mean, no one really of, value. Brook Lopez. So, two guys I really want the Thunder to try to trade for. Brook Lopez or Bobby Portis. I feel like Bobby Portis is the perfect match for the Thunder. I truly do. And then Brook Lopez, I think he fits in well as well. He's getting older, but it's some good veteran leadership, and he does play a good amount of games. And if you're looking for backup centers, I know they're not starting caliber at all. But Isaiah Stewart, Jericho Sims, James Wiseman, those type of guys, Daniel Theis, Jackson Hayes, those type of guys, they're good backup centers. Al Horford even. Now, I think is going to retire at the Celtics. I don't think they're going to try to trade him. Mason Plumlee, Plum Dog. He's also a solid backup option. There are solid backup options here for us to go get. It's just a matter of where it matches up salary-wise. That's the beauty of Presti draft picks. We got mad capital to spend on role players. We do. So, we're fine. We'll be fine. So, it's fine. But, so, that's really all I got. Any more questions for the last 5 minutes before I give you guys some little updates of what's going on here at Thunder Digest? We'll call it good on this official first Thunderstruck Thursday. I think that's the name we're going to roll with. Thunderstruck, what a great movie, by the way. All right, I was so upset American Airlines didn't have it on my flight back yesterday. I really wanted to watch that movie, and I was not renting it. I'm going to be honest. I was not renting it for $4 just to watch Thunderstruck. Okay, I was really hoping American Airlines had it on there. But, what else do I got for updates-wise? I do plan on bringing on some guests for these Thunderstruck Thursday live streams. I do. Some of these names you will know, some of them not so much, but they are credited people in the Thunder, not in the Thunder organization, but people that do cover the Thunder, some people that write articles for them, some people that you might see that are also other content creators, some people that, just love the Thunder as well. We do have it planned where they will come on as long as I get approval for that. You'll see some guests come on here that are pretty big time. I will say that. Definitely more big time than me. All right? I'm not big time at all. I'm doing this because I love the Thunder and I love spreading my opinion on it out there about what's going on with the Oklahoma State Thunder, how we're playing, how our players are playing, all that. That's really all I got for updates. Any feedback from you guys? Any more questions before we sign it off here? Because it was a good hour-long live stream. Good hour-long live stream. I'll take that. It was a good one. These aren't meant to be super long either. These live streams are just for little topics that I a topic or two I can't cover in 10 minutes at least. That I need 20 to 30 minutes to talk about. And these are what these live streams will be. Because there will be something every week that I could go on for at least an hour talking about that we'll use this for. So, if that's all right, I'm going to log it off here. Thank you guys for always tuning in. All right, you guys are the best. Like I said, you guys aren't a fan base. To me, you guys are a family. All right? The Thunder community, we're not a fan base. We're a family together. Okay, because we're so small. Think about it. We're a small market team. We got to be a family. We got to stick together. All right. Love you guys so much. Take care. Take care of yourselves. Mental health is a big thing. All right. It's going to be stressful going into the season with all these expectations. So please take care of yourself. I'll see you guys and next live stream or video if you guys are watching. So peace. See you later.